So guys, today on Comic Book Cafe we are going to be discussing Thanos, depending on how you say it, Cosmic Powers issue number 1. Now back at this time, I was really into this character. I loved, even though he was a major bad guy, there was just something incredibly interesting about him and what he was. And so when this came out, I had to pick it up. And of course, you probably should have read Secret Defenders 13 before you read this, because it does get some of the backstory that sets up, I believe, what happens in this comic book. But anyway, it just shows, big bloody battlefield. We skip that page, Thanos by himself, or Thanos, this warrior guy, gets up to challenge him. We can skip all this because this is just like setup story. And of course, Thanos just totally destroys him. So, if I can turn the page correctly, it would help, wouldn't it? Yes, it would. There we go. And he beats the guy up some more, which, destroys him, kills him, whatever. He kills him, for the dramatic beginning. And then he goes to a spaceship, which he talked to his, assistant. And so then you saw him, and they show that quite honestly, he's just barking orders, nothing that important. He's sitting, talking to himself. And then you finally see what leads up to some interesting parts. He goes down his cave, and you see this guy that they got from Secret Defender 13. This is an old robot that has a lot of data in his mind, and Thanos wants the data because he's bored and wants a new challenge. He doesn't have any challenge right now, so he's like, I need a new challenge. And so you see him put a helmet on to go, challenge the guy's brain, because the guy says, "There's no way you're going to get in my data." And he says, "Oh, we'll see," kind of thing. And then, of course, the big dramatic, "Look at this huge wall," and then he's like a ninja guy, And this whole big, the guardian that secures everything, and he has to have a big fight kind of thing with it, of course. Just basic, little kind of quick comic book drawn out fight. Big guy, he defeats him, and then he gets to the guy's, data. And this is where it gets interesting, because you're like, okay, if he gets the data, what's he going to do with this guy, How are they going to symbolize the data? And they just basically symbolize riches as the data, money and gold and stuff. And then he actually, surprisingly kills the guy. I didn't think they would. Marvel does like to keep certain minor characters alive and use them in different ways throughout other comic books. That's how I was surprised they killed this guy off. Because if you had that much, data, then maybe you could use them again. But nevertheless, they killed him off. And of course, this symbolizes, Thanos getting the data. He comes out, to say he's got all the data. So, he's basically asking, the robot, "Did you find anything interesting?" And then here's where the cool part really starts here in our discussion, because all that stuff is kind of backstory. So the cool thing about this story is it shows the history of this new character, bad guy, that's never existed in the Marvelverse before, as far as I know, and that is Tyrant. And it shows how Tyrant used to be this major bad guy, in a super, really, galactic, almost godlike status, that he was super powerful, but the only thing that was standing in his way were the woman called the Spinsterhood, which even they couldn't defeat him. In the end, it ended up was Galactus stopped in, of course, Silver Surfer's bad dude, the bad, powerful, planet-eating guy of the Marvel Universe, stepped in and stopped this guy. That was a really cool part of the story, Oh, interesting, an interesting setup. Let me get this page turned. More. And so they go into it even further, talking about how, again, Tyrant got back to power again. He got, super powerful, and that, he met opposition with Silver Surfer, Gladiator, a lot of former heralds of Galactus. They had a big major fight, and eventually they would beat Tyrant again, and there seems to be some major history between Galactus and Tyrant. And basically, they said that, they're now at a standoff because, Galactus really wants back Morg, who Tyrant has captured. Now, Morg at this time was the herald to Galactus, and he was one of his, powerful, meaning heralds who didn't have the soul like Silver Surfer wanted to be good and other stuff of the ones in the past. And so, Galactus wanted it back very badly. And that was a setup. And so this gets Thanos excited, and they show some of the people he's, kind of fought with in the past, because Thanos wants more data on the guy, and eventually he picks Tyrax, which is weird he'd pick him, because he's one of those, like, minor characters that only made a couple appearances here and there, throughout the Marvel Universe that I know of, and it's kind of weird that they would pick him. But again, it's interesting when Marvel adds more character and history to former guys. And so basically, they show him at the end saying, I'm going to go find him to help me, and then you see a picture of Thyrax. Terax, sorry. What's interesting to me about this comic book was I'm really excited at the setup. It's like, wow, there's something interesting that they're doing. Here's something new in the first issue. So there you go, guys. That is my discussion of issue number 1. I will talk to you guys again shortly for another comic book talk.